Welcome back to another episode of BTE TV. Today we got on the great Jason Mayhem Miller, season 14, a TUF coach. You got Lucky Patrick. You got everything. He is the man. He is the man. Listen,
Yo, I'm glad that hey man, Lucky Patrick has spoken to the generations now. When I was doing that, it was a one-off character, and Here Comes the Boom, a Kevin James movie. But the fact that Lucky Patrick lives on in so many people's heart, oh man, that really that makes me feel like a real life actor.
Yeah, bro. Listen. So whenever I was young, I was. You remember when I got sent off to juvie? I was like 15. So I loved you before then. So right here, actually, right there is.
How you bury the lead, dog? The bully beatdown, straight up bully beatdown. People don't recognize me because I damn got old on them. But I'm not gonna slap a red stripe in my hair just yet. I think that everybody that grew up on that show is now an adult, and now we all like are feeling that vibe of the next level. A bully beatdown was way back when, but now we all grew up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So look, what I got right here, right behind us, is a Strike Force glove signed by you that I got.
Yeah, those days, man.
Man, dude, since I can't even remember, I was just showing him. This is my brother. I was just showing him my very first Facebook photos are of you in Pride fighting, or no, in Japan. I don't know if it was in Pride. I think it was
Dream. So see, like the backstory to that, I've just been kind of researching this. That when the UFC went and bought Pride, everybody from Pride quit, and then they started a new company called Dream.
That's what it was, Dream.
So that's a little tidbit for you guys, like the deep cut backstory of MMA is that when they tried to buy it and tried to like take it over, all the people who worked there said, "Nah, we're gonna start our own company," and that's what they did.
So it just went from Pride to Dream.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so I want to start this off by asking you, since we're already on the on your Dream career, what inspired your interests whenever you would come out? You know what I mean? I just want to know that.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is that people forget that, like back in the day, mixed martial arts, it wasn't as, it wasn't mainstream. It wasn't as focused as it was today, like Americanized, if you want to call it that. Back then, the biggest companies in the world were in Japan. So they were on the leading edge of mixed martial arts promotion at the time. And so they had a budget to make a good big show. And when, I was coming up, there was a lot of guys like Sakuraba and Genki Sudo, these Japanese fighters that would walk out with these like kind of elaborate entrances. And to me, in my mind, as a fighter, like I always looked at us like gladiators, And back, if you read about the Roman days in the Colosseum, the gladiators would walk out like to this crazy ceremony, like da, 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 da. And on top of that, I grew up in the 80s, with pro wrestling. And when the guys' music started playing, you knew what was up, you knew, and it was like there's a ceremony about it. And those entrances, they got weirder and weirder as my career went on, and as but they got better and better because I always viewed the fights as like not just the fight, it's performance art. It's like a concert, it's like a show. Like there's a beginning, middle, and end. And I always decided that I wasn't going to be just a regular fighter where it's just, you walk out. I'm not Mike Tyson. I have a personality that's much different. So I'm not going to walk out dead silent and just go. No, I'm going to put some show and put a little bit of pizzazz in the damn game, and that's what I did. So it was a great time. Yeah, I wish that they would have a budget for guys to do entrances now. It doesn't have to be like mine, but it would be nice to like change it up a bit instead of it's the same monotony every fight.
What's your all-time favorite walkout you done yourself?
Listen, one of my I think my all-time favorite one was one that was like in the early days of like in Hawaii. There was another big epicenter of mixed martial arts back in the day, and one of the funniest ones, the best ones I did was I had a KFC bucket with some sparklers on my head. I lit them up, and it was not a big fight, and it wasn't like a really great entrance, but it was just so crazy that I had a KFC bucket on my head, like kind of a hockey mask, and walked out and just, it was like one of the first times that I fought in Hawaii. And to hear the Hawaiian crowd be so confused, who is this crazy guy with a bucket on his head? It was exactly what I was looking for. I just wanted everyone to be like so weirded out, and my opponent to be like, what is going on? And it worked. Totally worked. Like I was trying to be weird, mission accomplished.
Now, look, whenever you fought GSP, whenever you come
Yeah.
out and you threw that money, was that real money or fake money? I'm always know that.
Bro, listen. Listen, when I bought GSP, all right, they didn't pay me nothing. And on top of that, I didn't have any money to be thrown away. I went to Kinko's, which coincidentally was the place that I pretty much lived at and started my whole career. Like, I was up on this self promotion way before, and I didn't have an internet connection at the ghetto house that I lived at. So I had to go to FedEx all day long and type on the forums and promote myself and talk smack to other fighters. And so I was always at that Kinko's. And then when I got that fight, I went and made, and I'm sure there's some out there, like specialty made Mayhem bucks that had like my face on one side and like the mask on the other. And like, because you don't want to get busted with counterfeiting right before you're going to go fight. So yeah, I put together these crazy Mayhem bucks and tossed them out. I did the same thing in Japan too with yen. So, it's crazy. The difference, the Japanese people, nobody really rushed for the money, but in Vegas, everybody was jumping, scrambling to get the money off the floor. So, stripper vibes.
Yeah. So, what got you into fighting? Like, what was like your main motivation to start fighting?
But well, I mean, maybe to whoop my dad's ass, maybe.
Is that what it was?
I mean, look, my dad told me over and over again, when you can whoop my ass, you're a man. When you can whoop my ass, you're a man. Because he was like 82nd Airborne, like Mr. Tough Guy. And I was supposed to go that route, And I didn't. So a lot of factors happened where it made me rethink going to the military. And, I still have some regrets about that in a way, but I'm glad that I went out there and, fought for my own personal glory instead of the country in a way, because now I have a slightly bigger voice. Mine doesn't mean that much more than anyone else's, but because of what I did in the ring and cage, I have a few people listening to me. So it's like I'm not going to miss this opportunity now to try to affect a good positive change in the world. Why before I just threw it away on drinking and drugs and women and stupid frivolous things. But as you get older, you kind of get a little smarter. And during the thing where my dad said, "Oh, you whooped my ass," when I finally learned martial arts and whooped his ass, he threw me out of his house. So I guess I was a man. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of it. But it was a mix of things. It's like nature and nurture. A lot of these online influencers will be like, find your passion and then work at it tirelessly. There's some truth to that. But I think part of it is that I kind of wrote down what I was good at. And one of the things that came up, and it was a silly exercise that my dad made me do, actually, and I appreciate him for this, that what are you good at? And I was like, all right, I'm good at fighting, because I was in the neighborhood fighting guys all the time. And I was good at like making people laugh. That was another thing that I wrote down, and I did this exercise where I wrote down my skills and what do I like to do, and I like to work out, and it was weird because this simple exercise of writing down what you like to do and what you're good at, if you cross those things, like you kind of find a career path, sort of, you know what I mean? So I recommend it for anybody to do that simple exercise, like write down what the hell you're good at and what you like to do, and then find like an entry position and for me, it was like working out at the gym. It was like coaching fitness kickboxing at the gym. Like that was my entry, into the fight world. Was okay, I'll just teach ladies how to kickbox, and then it kept me in the gym all the time. So to find out what you're good at and what you really like to do and what what inspires you to go to work every day. That was a big way that it kind of entered me into the fight world.
What age were you when you made that list? And then what age were you when you started?
Listen, yeah, it's funny. I believe I was 15. Okay, because the backstory to that was I got in a damn hubbub. Like I the scumbag kid that I was, I mastermind like this Ocean's 11 type theft where we were gonna go steal some plywood for a skateboard ramp. And dude, my dad bust my ass because the cops didn't. I was 15, so the cops didn't take me to jail. They took my buddies to jail and totally broke up our little gang because those guys hated me because the cops lied and said that I snitched them out, which I didn't, but they were trying to get them to admit whatever they did, And instead of going to jail, dude, my dad bust my ass. He made me like go to Miller boot camp, like had me running, doing running 12 miles and doing like crazy ass exercise and whatnot. And and I hated him at the time, but this type of discipline that was instilled from that summer where I had to like be focused on a task, constantly. And then on top of that, it wasn't just physical, it was also mental. So in addition, this is the summertime, mind you, in addition to doing all this physical type exercise, I also had to like, he made me do these kind of self-help books, So at 15 years old, I was writing out what I want to do with my life and had to think these big thoughts years before, a lot of people get into that because usually that's something somebody does in like college times or, you know what I mean? I don't know. Or like after they're out of college and they're like, oh, I need to self-discovery, but I was jammed into it real quick. And, I'm telling you guys like one little slice of the story because I mean, there's other angles I could go. It was fun. My buddy showed me jujitsu in the backyard and like choked me unconscious. And he was smaller than me. So it made me like trip out because I always thought the big guy wins, but what he made me realize is the smart guy wins. When special techniques that, martial arts is magic, and, there's so many things I could tell you that what got me into that. But, that's the bare bones of it. To me, I got inspired by, shifting my focus from a military lifestyle to being in my own army, being in my own self-disciplined army where I had to accomplish, I had to try to make myself better every day, try to learn more techniques and better techniques. And, it worked out for me, overall. It worked out for me. I really, I had a good career and I feel very blessed that you guys are, having me on your podcast. That anybody wants to talk to me, now I haven't fought in 10 years. People still respect the game,
Yeah. Like I said, you've always been my favorite fighter. You're actually what got me into watching MMA because I was a boxing fan. Like around my whole house, I got Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr. was one of my favorite fighters. I boxed growing up, and like I said, just I'm into like the showboating, that type of thing. Like that's why I was a big fan of Roy Jones, Muhammad Ali. Then
Me too.
I come across you, but when I come across you, it was like, dude, I fell in love with you instantly. I was like, this man is wild. You know what I mean? And then like
that's the other thing. That's the other thing because I wrote down that I was good at fighting on that old little piece of paper because my neighborhood was a scrappy neighborhood, and in my neighborhood, it was like you couldn't just win the fight. It wasn't enough. Like nobody would respect you if you weren't talking smack the whole time and you weren't like winning, but like decisively where you were still yapping. And it was like a cultural type thing where you get in a fight and you say, what's up? You let everybody at the bus stop know that you won the fight. And it was part of my, it was part of my childhood. So I had to carry that on over to the cage, to the ring, because I couldn't forget my. You could take the kid out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the kid.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, you was before everybody's time though. Like you was doing it before Conor McGregor, Chelsea. Yeah. Like you was the first MMA fighter that I saw that really took it to the next level and was just like doing all the wild stuff. And
I and I got a lot of smack talked on me because back then there was a lot of like purists who were like, that's not how a martial artist operates, and it was like I saw which way the wind was blowing, and maybe I helped blow the wind that way a little bit, because way back when it was really hard to get people excited about fights in a way. Like we didn't have the benefit of being on TV all the time and this kind of thing. So I made sure to try to market myself, like try to put my name out there, not only with what I did inside the ring, but everything running up to it. You see the entrances, everything I wanted to be spectacle. Yeah. Spectacle was like, that was the word on my mind, was let's make sure that I talk smack to this guy. And, I kept it respectful. It's strange because I guess the guys have to go to the next level now where they're talking about each other's family and this kind of thing. But to me, I kept it, in my mind, and I think a lot of young fighters should take this tact, is that you should talk your opponent up, because when you defeat him, it makes you even better. It makes you should talk him up, but still rhythm, still like, aha, I got you, get him fired up, get in his head a bit, and I think nowadays the guys are doing that, and I like it. I'm still a fan. Like, I'm still watching. It's like, it's badass. I love it. I love it when the guys talk. Even the guys who aren't really good at talking smack are still, their managers like, hey, bud, you got to talk some smack, and that's cool. That's cool.
Now, what I was going to ask you is, you obviously, I just watched, you was with Brendan Schaub, Brian Callen and all them watching. What'd you watch? UFC 300 together?
Yeah. I was real, man. I was exhausted during that thing. I just worked out all week, and I was just kind of hanging back. Yeah, the 300. That card was excellent.
Yeah. What was your favorite fight on that card?
I mean, obviously Holloway Gaethje, because I'm one of them guys that pick the fights right a lot of the time. So, I was on the Gaethje bandwagon thinking, even though, dude, I love Max Holloway. I coached him at a seminar when he was like 8 years old. I'd known him forever. I haven't talked with him in forever, but the kid was, we could tell this guy is gonna be something. You know what I mean? His little ears, I like remember, like, look at bro, with ears like that, he's gotta learn how to fight, And sure enough, he did. But the fact that Gaethje, man, went out on his shield, like he got busted up in the first round. And it's one of those things, it might have gone his way, but it didn't. He got peppered, and I like to be proven wrong, like, and decisively like that. For Max to just shut me the fuck up, like, dude, way to go. Like, super.
I didn't see.
And the fact that he was dominant over all the rounds, and that he hurt him early, and that Gaethje did not try to look for a way out. He tried to keep winning. He was, man, to the amount of heart. You don't get a fight like that if the guy would, if Gaethje would have broke after his nose got broken, and he would have just looked for a way out and just like gave up, then it would have been like one of the best fights of all time. And because they did the, hey, and Holloway is infamous for that, pointing at the ground like, yo, let's finish it right here. You knew it was coming, and it still happened. And that fight, that 300, that was the most memorable. And then again, those Chinese girls put it on. That was badass. And what else? Pereira just, proved that he's one of the best kickboxers in the entire damn world. It's it's a good memorable one.
It's wild how quick Pereira come on the scene and how just big he's gotten. since he's come on the scene.
Well, it's like the phrase overnight success.
Yeah.
It's a lie. Like this guy has been quietly racking up wins and glory and I think glory, right? And he has been a standout kickboxer for a good long time and said that he wanted to go to mixed martial arts. And then when he did, it was like he burst up on the scene, and we didn't know nothing about him unless you were like a nerd that watched Glory all the time, which not a lot of people do, So overnight success, maybe, but that overnight success built over the last 10 years of him grinding and grinding and, learning and learning, and then, figuring out how to grapple too. So it's of course, we all just catch that overnight, like me too. Like I wasn't paying attention, but now that I see that he's the real deal, he's one of my favorite fighters now.
Yeah. See, what I was saying though is like, what I meant by that was like, so no one, like I said, no one really knew him until Adesanya, which obviously like the glory kickboxing fans would have knew, but I don't watch kickboxing myself.
Yeah.
But like, once he come into the UFC, I'm talking about just like how fast he got pushed, and people kept on saying, "Oh, this guy's gonna beat him. This guy's gonna beat him." He just keeps on doing it. Like
I'll tell you,
I really thought Jamal Hill was gonna be a really tough fight for him, and then he just made Jamal.
You know what? So did I. I was kind of in my mind, I was like, oh, he's gonna give him a good fight. Yeah. But then, all right, then Shab, before we started recording, Shab let me in on game. Hey, this guy just got an Achilles injury, right? And he walks in the cage and he got like a little muffin top, and he didn't look like the guy that I just watched, because I watched all his back catalog of fights, and I had determined, you know what? It's not gonna be that easy a fight, especially if Hill comes out and puts pressure on him and gets him down, because if you look, Pereira's grappling is not stellar. And when he gets down to his back, he just hangs on sort of. And I figured, okay, well, if Hill's coaches are smart, if I'm coaching Hill, I'm telling him, okay, listen here, kick from the outside, move around, and then clench this guy, put him down. Like let's get him down first round and grind him out, kind of slow his arms down so we don't get hit with some crazy bombs, But then, like I said, he had that injury, and you could tell his conditioning. And, I've had knee injuries before. Dude, it's super hard. And he had a way worse than a knee. He snapped his damn Achilles. Okay. That is a very difficult injury to come back from, and in a short amount of time. And I think it was 9 months from the injury.
No, he was like a year and a half, I think.
Oh, year and a half. Okay, there you go. So even that, his conditioning level, like and I know body, you can't tell much, but to see him in his previous fights, shredded, beastly, and then he looked kind of soft, like, whoa, if you do a lot of cardio, you can't help it. You get shredded down. Like it just happens, you don't have a say in the matter. And his body composition really was telling the minute that he walked in there. And when they told me he was injured, I said, okay, maybe this is going to be different than I thought. I thought this was going to be kind of a rough and tumble fight. And instead, we saw what happened. The nut check. No, I got this. Bink. And it was over with,
Yeah, it was, like I said, I think I was more surprised that happened than the Justin Gaethje Holloway. I figured the Justin Gaethje Holloway, I thought it was going to go. I did not see Holloway putting Gaethje out, but I figured it would go all 5 rounds. I figured that if anything, either Gaethje would have won with leg kick stoppage, because Max Holloway does get hit with a lot of leg kicks, and Justin Gaethje, the king of leg kicks. But I saw if Holloway put the pace on Gaethje and just kept on pointing him, I thought he was going to win by points. But whenever he knocked him out, I was actually surprised about it, because that's the first time Gaethje's ever been put to sleep. Like
I'll tell you this. That right there was a testament to tape study. Okay, if you pay attention to that fight, Gaethje, has kind of a habit, right? He throws a combo and then he ducks out to his right. Holloway's camp noticed that, and then they wrote a prescription. They say, hey, when Gaethje does his combos and you have your shield up, throw this spinning back kick. And that's what happened. He got him with the damn kick and hit him right in the face. You know, it was like a glancing shot, but dude, you don't need a direct shot to break a nose. A glancing shot will do. And he broke his nose. And let me tell you, you know, I busted my nose in fights. It really changes the rhythm of the fight because now you can't breathe out your nose. It's like an annoying thing that you have to deal with now to take your focus off the fight. And that's what happened. Yeah, it's because they watched the tape, they studied smart, and they got him to do this spinning back kick at the right moment. Man, that's beautiful. Like as a coach, I'm trying to exploit any type of habit that I can read in our opponent. I try to read what the hell, what is the pattern that this guy falls into, and then coach my fighter appropriately. You know, okay, this guy does this. We have the counter to that, you know, and optimally you like to have at least 2-3 different patterns that the guy gets into, and give your fighter a chance to exploit one of those. You know, figure out some techniques that your fighter already has that can be applicable to giving some damage to the fighter, whether it be some ground attacks and he does something stupid with takedown defense. Exploit one of those things so that we can give the advantage to our guy.
What's the worst injury you've gotten in the cage?
Oh, buddy, oh my God. I mean, look, the worst, they all kind of blur together. You know, I snapping my knee, I snapped it in training, a bad one where a guy was doing a wild kind of takedown and landed right sideways on my knee. And I still got up and I was adrenalized and still like beat him up for the next round. And then once I kind of cooled off in between rounds, man, that was hurt. I broke my hand in the first. I broke a thumb. Right, the gloves are I don't know if they updated them, I guess, but the gloves are janky where they just leave your thumb wide open, you know. And a guy ducked into my overhand right, and I snapped my thumb off, but didn't really notice. During, like, you know, when you're in there and fired up, I mean, at least for me, I don't feel anything. Like I you know, it could be broken and it don't matter, you know. So I kept throwing. Like after the first round, my corner was like, throw your right hand, and I didn't complain that my right hand was hurting. I didn't even think so, you know. So I threw the right hand for the rest of the fight. I kept throwing it, and man, I smashed up my thumb into even more little bits, you know. So not only did I snap it at first, but then I smashed it into powder after that. And they had to like do this crazy surgery where they put rods into your finger and then have them like hanging out like little, you know what I mean? And cover your hand with this giant Q-tip. And then finally yank the rods out after a few weeks. So, I mean, it was pretty gnarly. Yeah, that one was pretty gnarly. But, you know, I have had a bunch of knee surgeries and whatnot, and like I had to fix them. And those, I guess you could say, were worse. But to look down at your hand and it's like a Mickey Mouse glove, it's like weird. You know, it's just swollen because all the damage, you know, your hand will just puff up and turn into a balloon. That was shocking. Man.
Yeah. Who was your toughest opponent?
I mean, look, I had a lot of tough opponents, to be honest. You know, but you know, the George St. Pierre fight was probably the toughest one because, you know, the weight cut was super difficult. You know, they kind of said that the only way I could fight for them is to go to 170, so I did it. You know. And then I just had a lot of personal stuff going on, and then to give him a three round fight was hard. You know, it's like difficult. It's just the reason he was one of the best champions was his reaction time was really, it was just ahead of me, strong, you know, quick, and you know, he went on to be one of the best champions of all time for a reason. You know, he had that athletic ability and good coaching and good skills to be able to, negate all myself. I was in there the whole time. I was like trying to win the whole time, but he was just a step ahead. He just outclassed me, like out techniqued me. It was very like difficult. And I did my best, but lost that one. Another guy would probably be Tim Kennedy. The first fight we had, he was just strong and mentally tough, and when I put him in a bad spot, he escaped, and then we fought again, and it was like a weird thing where I had the answers for everything he did that time, you know what I mean? But still, like, they caught me. Like, you ever been tired, bud? You ever been tired? I've been tired. After I beat up Tim Kennedy, I was like, they caught me after a win, like looking like sad face, like like damn, dude, I just put in some work. I just earned every dollar that I made that night. Yeah.
You fought everybody. You fought Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
You fought Chael Sonnen too, didn't you? Back in your early days.
But that was very early in my career, and my style back then was like, I didn't really wrestle. To me, like, I was like one of these guys who would go and brawl, because usually I could sit people down. If I would just throw bungalows, I would just like catch the guy with a nice punch and then choke him out. Like, that was my thing. But this guy's level of wrestling was so tough that I had never seen somebody shoot such a quick double leg, and I had to like go back to the drawing board and like completely reinvent myself after that fight. Yeah, that was a good one. It was like, and then plus we broke through the cage at one part, and yeah, it was like one of those backwoods. Back in the day, it was not regulated nearly as much as it is today, and it's like one of those things. Sorry, I had a little audio problem there.
Oh, you're fine. Now what I was getting at whenever I asked you that. Now, I think I already know the answer to this. What's one fight that you're sick that you didn't get in your career? Is it the Nick Diaz fight?
Oh man, everybody's making me, every time I do a podcast, all right, everybody made me sad that me and Diaz never got it on. But I mean, I guess that's the way things go, like the business side of things is more difficult than the pure fight part of the game. It's a very, the business world sometimes won't let things happen because X, Y, and Z, and as a fighter, you just fight whoever they put in front of you. That's the business, but yeah, everybody made me sad about, me and Nick Diaz never getting it on, but that's the way it goes.
At least you got to fight Jake Shields, huh?
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah. I mean, look, the fight world is like a very interesting, universe. Where like I like how it is nowadays, where people are more educated, more invested into the fight game, and it really makes it a lot better to watch the fights.
Yeah, I wish that you was just so ahead of your time. I wish that you would have been now. You know what I mean? You would have been one of the biggest stars ever, dude. Like,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
so
that's
crazy.
the way it goes, bud. Like, you don't get no points for being an early adopter. If you figure things out early on, you just got to do the best we got. My hope is to now help push the fight game in a new direction. To push it up. I'm trying to put together some fights now, and I'm helping a lot of fighters here in the Los Angeles area. So it's one of those things where if I can help somebody reach their dreams, then it's better than me reaching all mine. If I can, and on top of that, the benefit of being in a coach and manager position is I get to help more than one guy live out their dreams. For me, it was just a personal thing where when during my fight career, I was all after my own personal glory. And it's like one of those things where when you um, you know, when you watch the baby bird take his first flap of the wings and take off, it's some type of feeling that you can't get any other way. You know, when I was younger, when I first was like teaching jujitsu classes and I teaching my buddies like how to do moves, and to watch them do the moves fills you with some type of like strange pride that you can't really explain. You know, I don't got no kids that I know about, but I can imagine it's like that, like watching them, you know, go to school or tie their shoes or something. It's a very proud moment. And, you know, as far as the business end of things too, I think that there's room for me in the martial arts space to kind of help recreate some success with a number of different fighters. That's what I'm going to try to do now.
Speaking of coaching, whenever you was on the Ultimate Fighter, you was okay. So you was the main reason. I used to hate Michael Bisping because of you. I hated him so bad. I actually love him now. Michael Bisping now, I love him now. But Bisping, he was a dick. I hated him. You know what I mean? Just because,
of course, yeah.
Yeah,
he
I was
played a role.
Season of Tough 14. Yeah, oh my god, I hated that guy so bad. What was that like coaching all them? Because you had who? You had TJ Dillashaw on that. You had what's Dodson? I forget his what's his name?
Yeah, Dodson. Yeah, Dodson.
Yeah, John Dodson.
Yeah. Had, John Dodson, of course.
That
Dennis Bermudez was a really good guy to come out of there. Yeah, I believe that that was very instructive to me, you know, because I took it pretty serious as far as being a coach. You know, I was very like on top of the guys, and you know, our record showed that. Like the guys did really well. Our training camp was really good. It was very organized, and we did a really good job of putting together, you know, the training camp. And those guys worked their ass off, you know, and we had good positive vibes all the way around, you know. And to see some guys go on and have such a great career, it was really fulfilling. Yeah, it was really fulfilling. I loved that time of my life. It was really good.
What was your favorite moment of being on Tough?
I don't know. It was those moments, the kind of moments that you don't see, like connecting with the guys personally, you know, being like helpful, like in a way that, you know, because these guys, a lot of them come from nothing. And to recognize in my to recognize like kind of a mirror image, that was the part. Had a sneeze, excuse me.
So what was the difference like, say, from shooting the Tough season to shooting the Bully Beatdown seasons? What was like? Was there anything similar going on with?
Yeah, it's plenty similar. You know, television production has this weird thing where they're following you around with the camera, and you have to do these kind of, you know, interviews about things that just happened. Like, dude, you saw what happened. Why did I got to talk about it? But yeah, it was very similar. I got really good at being like a television professional because I had to do all this filming and recording. But yeah, it was, you know, it was much different too, because it's like you didn't get paid on the Ultimate Fighter. It's like, you know, you worked longer hours. It was pretty much a job that you never could get away from. You know, with Bully Beatdown, it was like a set schedule, and like you did it for this long and then you got to go home. But with the Ultimate Fighter, it's like a different type of show where you're kind of sequestered, where you know, you just had to like do just this for, you know, and it's a training camp. So I get that, you know, and I've been in training camps my whole life, so it wasn't much different. But overall, you know, both were very positive experiences, and I'm glad to have had them.
How did that happen? How did you get involved with Bully Beatdown?
Well, that's like a weird, like YouTube, you know, in 2007 or something like that. I was already on it. Like I was already YouTube star before that was even a thing, you know. And I had just promoted myself and got friends that were in the TV business to help me do some sketches. You could look them up. There's an old show called like Tap Out or something like that. We made fun of that, and like I did like a rap video for like Pinkberry, and I was like TikToking before there was TikTok, and it led to like all this crazy fame. And it's weird because I feel bad that I a little bit because that I left TikTok and YouTube behind, because I really liked doing that. It was really fun, and because my life was so much busier, I just left that YouTube behind me. And now that I realize that everybody's into that, I go, oh man, well, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I really love YouTube these days, and I think it's like the new media, and it's kicking ass. So, but yeah, YouTube. And then what happens is the way people on TV pick shows is they have a concept, and then they start doing research, like who could be the guy for the show, and then they offered it to me. But like I said, like I was already making plenty of money in Japan and was like kind of dismissive, like until they told me, hey, you can be funny. And I was like, oh, okay. Because they pitched it to me and it sounded like serious and like such a nerd thing to do. I was like, bro, that sounds kind of nerdy. Like, I don't know. They're like, no, but you could be funny. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm into it. And XYZ.
Yeah.
Now, do you like being known for the bully beatdown guy, or?
Bro, I do. Like for years, I kind of was like, fuck, this kids show won't stop following me around. But time goes by and the kids turn to adults, and I really respect it. Like now I thank God that I was able to introduce so many people to mixed martial arts and essentially teach a brand new generation of MMA fans to know MMA, because again, you look at it with through the lens of time, you don't realize that at the time when that Bully Beatdown came out, MMA was not really a normal sport. Like it was still very fringe. So to have credit for, for everybody to give me credit for helping spread mixed martial arts to so many people is, I can't, I'm humbled. It's very, I feel great. I feel very thankful for that.
Yeah, that show
because sport. Well, I love it. I've loved it since I was a kid. Before, when we called it NHB, like when we didn't even have a proper name for no holds barred fighting. We didn't even know how to say what we were doing. Like what do you do? Oh, I do cage fighting. Like what the hell? You know what I mean? Like it's like, to grow with the sport and still be an integral part of it is super important. Like I thank God for it all the time.
Yeah, I think that show shined a light on MMA in general. That was it's crazy because I remember watching the episode with Eddie Alvarez on Bully Beatdown, and then just seeing how far he come to be a Bellator champion, UFC champion. Now he's fighting the BKFC. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy how much you have done. I don't think you get enough credit how much you have done and how much of a light you've shined on MMA. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, dude, you go down as my number one. I got a signed autograph by Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Bruce Buffer, Conor McGregor, and you know what I mean? Like, dude, you such a legend in the fight.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. And what are you doing? You're starting a business with what is this called? Memorabilia?
No. I just like I said, I grew up boxing. I boxed for a long time, and then I was undefeated in boxing, and then I started getting a little bit older, and I started drinking and stuff. I was like around 14, 15. So I started drinking real heavy, and then I got out of boxing, and then I got locked up. This is where I got introduced to you at. It was Bully Beatdown. I got locked up when I was 15, and I was in Lawrence County. It was like a boys' home or something. And I remember he was like my uncle or something. He found out while I was in there, we was related. So he was letting me wake up early in the mornings and go down here in the TV room and watch Bully Beatdown before You know what I mean? Everybody else woke up. So I'd go down there and I'd watch that. And then I remember I just fell in love with you. I was like, man, this dude is crazy.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
And like I get home from doing that little bit of time. I get home and then like I'm just Googling you. I'm watching all your interviews with Errol Hawani. I'm just watching everything you're doing. And I'm just like, bro, then I start watching your fights. I get into your fights. I'm like, bro, he's crazy. Just like the showboating you was doing in your fight and just everything you was doing. The mid, who was you beating up? Was it Sock Robber? Your mid beating him up, then stopped, did the little pose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just everything he was doing. I was like, man, this guy is crazy. You know what I mean? Like you was the Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones Jr. of MMA at the time.
Oh,
you know I mean? So I was, and
yeah.
like I said, I fell in love with you, bro, and you made me fall in love with the sport. You're the reason I fell in love with the sport of MMA. And then I quit watching boxing because I was all like, boxing ain't real fighting. It's, you know what I mean? It's MMA's
yeah, figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like I got into
all you gotta do is watch enough like street fight videos.
Yeah.
And you see mixed martial arts guy, you know what I mean? The range is different. Takedowns are a factor. It's much different sport. Yeah. It's much different. Like
you made me just fall in love with it. And then ever since then, I've watched since 2015. I've watched every single pay-per-view. I've watched every single fight night. And dude, I fell in love with it because of you. And like I said, that's why I'm saying it's such an honor to have you on, be able to talk to you.
And dude, what else do you guys talk about on the show? Forgive me, I haven't watched the show.
Bro, we do a bunch of different things. Like we started out. I'm like how you are. Like I'm just wild. I like to do funny things. You know what I mean? I just like doing dumb shit. And I don't know. So we'll get into this too. I battle with a lot of different mental illness. I can't even talk right now. A bunch of different mental illness. God, I can't even talk.
Illness.
I got just mental health. Bro. So I always try to like cover up everything I go through with drinking, and then you know how it is. Drinking, you get into all this wild shit.
Yeah, bud.
Constantly doing wild shit and all this.
Still drinking, bud?
No, I just quit. UFC 300 was the last time I drank.
All right.
And
all right. You're gonna stay off it, or you're gonna stay off it, or what?
Bro, I ain't drank yet, and I used to drink every day, half gallon a day.
Oh my God! You didn't get like DTs coming off it. If you drank that much, you probably had some.
The worst thing I did was like my hands will cramp. That's the only thing that ever happened.
Well, just to let you know, okay, if you're gonna drink a lot like that and then stop cold turkey, bud, you better be careful. You can die from that. Just so you know. Yeah. I'm doing a public service for everybody out there. If you're just gonna quit drinking like that, like you might want to go into a medical detox. I believe that. For me, I went to full on rehab, dude. Like I went straight up to rehab, and I don't know how the strategy that you're going to use. If if drinking is really a big problem for you, the first step is to like let yourself know, hey, it's a big problem. And it sounds like you took that first step. And a lot of times to go to like a group meeting, whatever, they have AA, they have all kinds of different styles of it, but to have like people around you that hold you accountable, that will keep you off the booze way better than just trying to like do it on your own. Where you're just like, because I've done that plenty of times where I was like, dude, I'll quit. I'm not gonna drink no more. And then I didn't have any support of anybody around me. So eventually the homies that you're with will crack a beer with you, and then whoops, you're back on. And so if it's a problem to you, then it's probably better off having people around you that are supporting your decision to not drink than to, and then after you get some good time behind you where you're not drinking for a good long stretch, because that's where I'm at now, where I can go kick it with the guys who are drinking and there's nothing. There's no, hey, let me get one. Nah. It's like I've already kind of broke over to that place where I'm comfortable, where, look, man, I've talked myself through it enough where, yeah, one beer will not hurt me. Yeah. But I know how I am. And my brain starts going, all right, yeah, okay. And then I'll have a beer tomorrow. All right, yeah. Then I'll have another couple of beers. And for me, to have people who are invested in helping you not drink, that's super important. Like
how I've done it.
You got to talk yourself out of it, bud. You got to talk yourself out of it. Like there's no other way to do it. And then the cravings will come, and you have to like realize that this is just a thought. This is just, I don't have to go back to this lifestyle. And once you figure that out, once you go, oh, this is just a temporary craving. Let me walk past this craving. Let me get through this. And you have to figure out strategies to do that. That's why I went to rehab. It's like to figure out coping mechanisms that were not drinking. Because for me, buddy, that was my best friend. Whenever, and I would have big long stretches where I didn't drink anything, but then, because I didn't accept that it was a problem in my life, really, even though I went to jail and every time I was drunk, every time I would get into some hubbub, I was drunk and I couldn't see it. I couldn't understand. I couldn't make the connection because I didn't want to make the connection. I didn't want to accept that because it was like a best friend that would bleed you dry, but you still were best friends with them. And I had that friend too. She was terrible, but I can just talk about what I went through. And for me, the big thing was to have a group of people for a good, consistent amount of time that supported the fact that I wasn't drinking no more. Yeah. And it's hard, man. It's really difficult, man. If you're gonna go quit, man, I wish you luck. And if not, well, I'll see you next time. Next time you're quitting.
Yeah, no. So what I've done is I cut off because I was hanging out with everybody that just didn't want to do nothing with their lives, that just wanted to sit around and drink. You know what I mean? That's what I was doing. So how I've done it now is I've cut everybody off. I don't hang out with nobody, and I sit at home. And I know this is going to sound really, really corny, but I sit at home and just play video games, and that keeps me.
Well, look, okay. Now I'll stop you there. I've tried this strategy. And eventually this one leads me right back to 7-Eleven. Okay. I'm just going to tell you. All right. Like for me, I'm not talking about for you, might work for you. But what I'm suggesting you do is go to some type of meeting. And the reason I say that is because what you will hear at a meeting for people who have quit, you'll hear motherfuckers that are 10,000 times worse than you. And on the other side, you'll hear people who are like, why are you here?
Yeah.
What? But the common theme with all those people inside those meetings is that they all like feel like drinking's a problem. And what that does for you is that it will give you strategy. You'll hear from people who have been sober for a good long time. And what you'll hear is their strategy to cope with it. That's why I'm open about this stuff, is because instead of like, it's supposed to be anonymous, right? But for me, I think that there's not enough people talking about it outside of that, because our whole culture is have a beer, have a drink, every movie, every time something great happens, they crack a bottle. Every time someone's sad, they drink some whiskey, and I was totally like brainwashed by this, this part of our culture. So for me to like get off that and go see people having great lives, because my life is keep getting better and better, like buddy. And even though it's like really good right now, there's a weird thing in my head that goes, hey man, have a beer, go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, whoa. And while years ago that was like a thing where I would cave into that and be like, yeah, no big deal. Now I like play this tape through and go, yeah, this beer is good. But then what happens? Then on Saturday night, I'm fighting the whole bar because I'm whiskey drunk and this shit is hilarious. And I think it's really funny to call this guy a squirrel neck and then slap him in his face when he tries to punch me. No, like I've been through that enough times. And, I wish I would have figured it out earlier. I really do. But we all have to work on our own time. We all have to figure it out on our own time. And for you to be doing it with video games only, but I don't know. For me, it didn't work. And the only way that I kind of got new strategies was the same way that I got really good at fighting, was I went to the gym and learned from guys who already did it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't know how to foot sweep a guy real good if Randy Couture didn't show me. I wouldn't know how to snatch a guy up off the cage and slam him if Rampage didn't show me. And the same thing with sobriety. if I didn't go to these meetings, which admittedly at the time I was like, oh God, what am I doing here? If I didn't go and do that hard work and listen to this guy talk about something that was like, oh man, that sounds like me. If I didn't listen to him talk about how he was convinced that his drink will be fine if everybody would stop bitching about it, those little things, those little details stuck in my head. Stuck in my head. And I went, oh, wow. I'm like that. Now I had to wade through 100 guys telling me story about smoking crack under a bridge or something. You know what I mean? A lady shooting up heroin that was in dog shit on her bike tire. No joke. This is a story that she told. She found a bag of dog shit on her bike tire. She, and I didn't connect with any of that. Like, I was like, whoa, living in a tent, like, ooh, like, but other dudes that were telling stories about drunken bar fights and going to prison. And I was like, dude, yeah, like, I just did that. Like, yeah, it's exactly what happens, And it always starts out mellow. And especially when you're younger, 20s, yeah, you get in a bunch of those and you don't really get any trouble. Once you get deeper in your drinking career, bad stuff happens. Bad stuff happens. So you can get away with stuff for a good long time, but then eventually it comes back to bite you. And for me, some people don't have any issue for their entire life, and some people can be a functional alcoholic. But for me, again, I only speak from my own experience. My life continues to get better and better the less that I drink, or I don't even smoke pot anymore. So it's like and I thought that my life would be boring, but no, my life is like gets more and more adventurous every day, more exciting. And do I miss it? In a weird scumbag way, in a weird like dirtbag way. There's like this little voice that's like, hey man, just come on back, and I ain't doing it.
Yeah, see, I don't think mine was necessarily a drinking problem, which everybody says that. But like I never went through like withdrawals, none of that stuff. Like I said, the worst that ever happened to me, my hands would cramp if I didn't drink. I don't know.
But what I just said is it doesn't start out that way. Like, listen, I never had any physical withdrawal that I could tell either. Maybe in jail, like I felt a little like crappy, like a super hangover and a super, you know what I mean? But it never starts that way. It takes years to develop like this kind of physical withdrawal. This is what I learned during going through rehab and this kind of thing. But because they have you do like schoolwork essentially and learn about the disease, and you figure out that never starts that way. Never starts that way. It always leads to that end.
Yeah, that's why I try to stop it before it got to that point, because I'm still not young, but I'm still kind of young. I'm
pretty young.
I'm about to be 28 this year, so I'm not super old, but I'm not super young. So that was my thing. I wanted to stop before it got like my life did get worse, because I was out getting in the bar fights, all that dumb shit. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out now. You know what I mean? But why did you drink? What made you drink the way you did?
Buddy, listen, you guys earlier asked me about my worst injuries, okay, and I told you like 2 of them. But you get injured all the time. Like as you get older, those injuries start piling up. You get hurt, and beer is like a pretty good painkiller. Drink some whiskey and you forget all about it, but then you have to pay dividends on that, because later on you feel even worse. So then you kind of get stuck in a rut. Along with that, all types of mental anguish. Things start going bad for you, and there's a snowball effect. What happens is, like, things are going bad for you, so you drink, so something worse happens. And then so you drink, and then something worse happens. And you don't even equate the problems that you're having from alcohol. Like you forget that was the catalyst for the problems. You forget, because once you sober up, you go, oh man, why did that happen? And you don't blame the alcohol. You go, manly culture, you go, oh, it's my fault. I did it. But you don't the real factor in the matter was alcohol, and it keeps rolling. It keeps rolling. That's just the way it goes. You know, you talk to anybody who's had problems with alcohol, any kind of drugs, like there's some type of thing that talks you out of, you know, the substance being a problem. Because I was thinking about it yesterday. Alcohol, drugs, all this kind of thing. It's like having a jetpack, right? But it only has like half a tank of gas in it, and you don't ever, you can never fill it all the way up. Being sober, you can fill that jet tank all the way up, bro, and you can fly and have fun. But it's guaranteed fuel to drink. It's just a guaranteed half tank. You just always can feel a little good. You can never feel awesome. You can never feel really great because there's a ceiling to substance. You can only get so drunk. You can only get so high. And then that's why they say, oh, you're chasing the dragon after that. Once you had it one time, you could never get that feeling again. You could never really get that. That's the horror of addiction. That's the horror of being an alcoholic. That's the horror of, and I talked to, really the big scourge in America, I found out was methamphetamine. I seen the guys, and I done pills, and I did all kinds of different substances during my little run of this negativity. But I seen the guys, the bad one, they get hooked on meth, and that one just takes you over. Like they you lose all your teeth, and you still do it. It's very yeah. I don't know. I don't know how those guys keep it going like that. But it's just, you can never be as happy as you could be without all that. And like I said, that our culture is filled with drinking memes, and everybody's drinking, so it's one of those things. Yeah.
Do you think that some of your substance abuse may have been contributed to by mental health issues?
Absolutely, man. I had like amphetamine induced psychosis, I guess you'd call it, or like drinking induced psychosis, like where I take pills and just suddenly be like manic for days, drinking and not sleeping, it just makes you insane. And it's a thing. And I just ran all my friends away. I totally, was disconnected with reality. And that's the reality. If you're going to take chances like that, you're going to drink, and, and again, there definitely is a genetic component to it, where if you have these certain, and I've seen it, like, because I was afraid that maybe I was a bipolar, but then I talked to the mental health professionals, and they asked me all these questions, and I explained, and then I said, okay, they're like, all right, so do you ever not sleep? And I was like, well, yeah. And they're like, when you're drinking? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. Now, so am I bipolar? And like, well, according to this, no, you're not. Yeah, you have this, you're induced by the substance. So that's a big danger for people to, if you drink a lot, if you have like, you can really go dark, and you can really affect your mental health. I've been off everything for like a year, and my mental health is like better than it's ever been. Like, I used to think that I was super depressed. Turns out I was just stoned. Like, I wasn't depressed. I just was so used to affecting my brain with substance that I threw all my serotonin and dopamine, and everything was off, and I couldn't understand why. Well, it's because I was doing this, that, and the other. So better off for me to, not do any of that.
Yeah, you look a lot better. Like I was watching your interview with you on The Fighter and the Kid. I was watching that, and yeah, you look a lot better. You look healthy again.
Right. And I'm leaving up all these old videos of me when I was drinking and smoking and whatever, so that people can look back and like look at what I was doing. Like I'm not gonna go and scrub the history. You know, that's not me. That would be inauthentic. Like I'm not gonna go scrub the history, but I would like people to understand that, dude, I was on stuff. Like I was on everything. I was like really pushing my limits as an insane. I liked to be insane. Like I'm like a pretty like bold person. And back then, like I was always like pushing the envelope of being crazy. Like I wanted to be crazy and I was doing it, you know, and I'm, you know, I would like to be ashamed, but nobody's ashamed these days. I might as well start an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? It's like nobody's ashamed these days. So I was, again, that was another thing that I was early on. I wasn't ashamed of nothing. I was just like, here I am, too real for you guys, you know, and that's what it is.
Since we're on the subject, what do you got to say to like the new generation of kids that like we was talking about earlier about how they think it's unmanly to come forward with their mental health problems and all that stuff.
This is super garbage, bro. This is super garbage. Like we live in a day and age where we understand more about the human mind than we ever have. You know, we're figuring out new things every day. And look, am I gonna go cry to my mommy every time things happen? No. But if I don't have some real ass bros to go, hey man, this shit is fucking me up, you know, and just at least like let out some of that trauma, then dude, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drink it away, I'm gonna smoke it away, and then my life is gonna get worse. That happened to me. It happened to me. I couldn't figure out how to process my emotions and deal with things in like an adult way. So I did it in the same way I did when I was 15, 16. Smoke some weed, you know, drink some beers and like, you know, go on like this rampage, this terror. I just terrorized the whole neighborhood, you know? And yeah, and that I'm ashamed of. Like that, I like feel bad that I was just such a jerk to everybody. And it's messed up, you know, it's messed up that that I did that. But all I can do now is like share my story with people and kind of help to push people that need some help to get some help. Like the funny thing is that when I say, "Oh, go get some help," I never even knew what that meant. But for me, it was like rehab facility. Where if you have the freaking you know, like health insurance that's like provided by the state, you can go to something like that. You can go like to a free mental health clinic and get meds or get what's the word, like therapy, group therapy. You can do it. Like, and I recommend it for anybody. Don't be too manly to go get some mental health help. Like that's the thing you got to do. Like you have to, or it's going to cause you a bunch of problems in the future. It makes me mad that I was so resistant to it. I was too alpha to go and talk to some therapist about what's going on in my head, you know. And even the time that I went, I was still like too like manly to even tell her for real how bad I felt or how much I was having a problem. And I really did myself a disservice. You know, years and years I spent in hell.
So what does Mayhem Miller do now to deal with those type of problems? Now that you don't.
Listen, look. The first thing is I don't pick up nothing, like you know. And for me, it was a big problem. So I that's the big one, because that one it rolls downhill. Once I get going, I have fun for about a week or 2 weeks, and then everybody's in danger. Everybody's in danger. I'm in danger. And everybody around me is in danger. But now talk. I have many people around me that I trust now. And it was hard to trust people because I was so used to being like in my own head. You know, and because drinking and smoking and whatever is a very lonely thing where you hide from everybody and you don't talk about anything to anyone. I'm fine. No, you're not. You know, and it's so much easier if you're not doing any of that to be able to speak articulately, speak clearly, and even talking to you guys, I figure things out. Talking to my friends, I figure things out kind of on my own by just getting my mouth going. But when you're smoking and drinking and you just keep that to yourself, that's the biggest thing. Communication, connecting with other people so that they can help you through that stuff.
Whoa, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time.
But I got to run, and man, you guys fantastic. I hope your show does really well and keeps it going, man. I'll make sure to be looking out for you.
Thank you, man. Listen, I need one last thing from you. Your all favorite fighters. Who are they?
Oh man. All right. Look, man, Mark Coleman was the original, like, oh my God. And like for some reason, I knew I could not really be Mark Coleman when I was a kid, because I was into Hoist Gracie. I knew I was more Hoist Gracie than Mark Coleman, but Mark Coleman was like one of like the OG favorites. Okay, we'll give Hoist Gracie and Mark Coleman, all right? Anderson Silva, what can you say? I got to spar him one time. I was not disappointed. It was awesome. And who else? I'll say Rampage, even though I trained with him and he's my bro and I talk shit to him and he talks shit to me, he's still one of my favorite fighters. Like, dude, what I can't say enough good things about the guy. And who else? We're gonna talk. How about we talk somebody modern day, huh? Modern day. I mean, huh? Yeah, right now. Man, it's somebody to pick. And you know what? It seems like he's getting on in years, but he's still modern day. Dustin Poirier, man, the guy. Yeah. Oh my God. Like technique, good. Power, above average. Charisma, all right, but heart and just, you know what I mean? Give it to everybody, Like, let's see. And then who you got, Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor?
I think if it goes past a round and a half, I don't know that neither one of their cardio is like top notch. You know what I mean? Both of them are first and a half. You mean the first
spot, bro? I put you on the spot.
Conor's one of my favorite fighters, so I'll say this: I love Michael Chandler, but I see if it gets stopped in the first round. Chandler don't have the greatest chin. Conor's only been stopped once by punches. No, twice. No, once. He's only been stopped once by punches, which was against Dustin Poirier. Chandler's been dropped a lot. Man, I don't know. Chandler, if he's powerful. If he can catch Conor, I think he can put Conor down. But also, though, Conor's timing and stuff will be back. You know what I mean? Like how it was before. I mean, dude, it's a toss-up right now. I'll tell you what. I want to see Conor get it done. I think Conor will get it done within the first 4 minutes. I think Conor will get it done within the first 4 minutes. Because
so you're hedging your bets now. You're going Conor, but then anybody can give that answer.
But no, I'm going to say this. I say Conor within the first 4 minutes.
After that, Chandler.
I would not be surprised if Chandler won. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it wouldn't be like my mind be blown. Now, I got one for you. What do you think about John Jones and Stipe? I think they're about to announce that fight coming up.
I would love Stipe to win. However,
who do you think's going to win?
Very difficult fight for him.
All right, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.